Welcome back to Reviews by Hunter. That's me, I'm Hunter, and we have got Sakomoto Days, Season 1, Episode 13. I liked this episode a lot more than the last one. It opens up by, we get the answer behind Shin's new ability, Motor Readiness Potential. So, the SparkNotes version is that the brain subconscious has already decided what move that it's gonna make before even thinking about it consciously. So by a few tenths of a second, Shin is able to read and react before his opponent actually does. But even that few tenths of a second is enough to gain an incredible advantage over Saw. So we learn this in a flashback, and then we go back to present time where it is death row inmate Saw versus Shin and Liu. So Liu also enters a state called Mafia Drunk, which is from her drinking pure ethanol that fell from one of the grocery store aisles. Now, we've seen Liu become drunk and have these different versions of her in the past. We've seen angry drunk Liu. I think we have seen crying drunk Liu. This was Mafia drunk Liu, and she's just a lot more ruthless. Very ruthless, scary. And Saw starts running away. He starts running away saying, "Oh my god, I'm going to die." That's how freaking locked in Mafia drunk Liu is, man. It was awesome. So, Liu and Shin do defeat and retire death row inmate Saw. Saw just completely lost all his confidence in that fight, man. Once Shin started beating the brakes off of him because he could see into the future and know what Saw was gonna do before he did, Saw couldn't comprehend what was going on and was like, "What's with this guy? This isn't how this fight is supposed to go." And he starts running for his life, but eventually he does get beaten. I loved this sequence, man. I love seeing Shin and Liu get stronger. It's awesome. So we also have Saw, because of course Liu and Shin do not kill. It's one of the Sakomoto family rules. Saw tries to escape and gets into a taxi, right? And tells him, "Oh, just take me to the airport," right? He's beaten up and bloodied. There's a member of the Order, I don't know his name, but he has like a metal jaw, seems to be like a taller black man, muscular, and basically kills him in one strike. He just, like, all we see is him throw a punch, and then the blood bursts from inside the taxi and is splattered with blood. Safe to say that Saw died. The member of the Order wasn't playing around and just destroyed him. Oh my god, this anime gets dark when it wants to. It really does. Okay, so far, great episode, and we're not done yet. So we move on to Osaragi of the Order versus death row inmate Dump. Now, this fight starts because Osaragi is like at a shrine praying, and all of a sudden she is attacked by Dump, who, now I do know what her ability is. She has these spikes that come out of her body, like 4 or 5 from her body, and then she also has some that comes out from like the palm of her hands. And she goes to attack Osaragi. Osaragi blocks. This fight was so one-sided, man. Osaragi whoops Dump. I mean, dominates Dump. Dump is getting smacked all over this shrine, man. There's a part in the fight where Dump uses her spikes to take the briefcase that contains Osaragi's signature weapon out of her hand and just flings it. So Osaragi is actually fighting the majority of this battle without her weapon and is still just like whooping Dump so hard. I don't think Dump knew what hit her. So similar to the Saw fight where once our Team Sakomoto starts powering up, he starts getting whooped all over the place. There's an awesome line in this fight where Osaragi says, "The Order sentences you to die today, violently." The way the voice actor delivers this line is so freaking sick, dude. I loved it, man. I was getting goosebumps, okay? So, she compares fighting Dump to squishing bugs that come into her home. That's how much Osaragi isn't worried about this fight. It's freaking awesome. There's a lot of talk about gods in this episode, and Osaragi says that if she was a god, she wouldn't create killers like her and Dump. But since she isn't, she maintains the Order on their behalf. Osaragi wins with her signature weapon, and I did have to Google this, a collapsible buzzsaw. Okay, the animation sequence where she gets ready to strike Dump down is absolutely sick. There was an upgrade in animation this episode compared to last, and I really appreciated that. This fight was one-sided. I almost think, as much as I was hyping up Shin's new ability, I think this fight was actually probably the highlight of the episode for me personally. So, yeah, I think she might have beheaded Dump at the end of this episode. She either beheads her or just slices her in half. Either way, Dump of the Death Row inmates is dead. So, we move on to Mr. Reindeer. I don't know if that's actually his real name, but do you guys remember from Season 1, Part 1, the guy that wore a reindeer as a mask? I think his name is Mr. Reindeer. And he works for Slur, right? The guy with stitches all over his body and everything. Well, anyway, Death Row inmate Apart, the OCD one, he overhears Mr. Reindeer talking to Slur about how the Death Row inmates dying is all a part of the plan. Now, once Apart hears this, he confronts Mr. Reindeer. The reason that he was there is that he just happened to be staying at the same hotel as him. But once Apart hears this, he realizes that he's being used as some sort of pawn, right? Slices Mr. Reindeer into pieces in seconds. Remember in Season 1, Mr. Reindeer was shown to be quite capable. He is a henchman or an underling of Slur, so he's quite capable. I think he had a fight with Sakomoto in Season 1, Part 1, and he's shown to be really, really difficult to kill. And here we have Apart slicing him up in seconds. Now, Mr. Reindeer isn't dead, but he's rendered, incapacitated, basically, right? And so what we learn is that Slur says on the phone that, although Apart knows about this now, it could still work in their favor. The more havoc that they create, the better. We don't know exactly what that means yet, but there's some bigger scheme at foot here. The episode ends with Death Row inmate Minimalist walking into Sakamoto's store where his wife is working, and then it cuts to the end. Great episode, man. Really good episode. I loved that this was action-packed with different fights as well. It seems that the Death Row inmates are maybe a little bit weaker than what we originally thought. Guys, there's only 4 Death Row inmates, right? Apart, Minimalist, who were the other ones? Apart, Minimalist. This is why I take notes, guys. This is why I take notes. Okay, so we have Apart, Minimalist, Dump, and Saw. Saw and Dump are already dead. They're already have been assassinated. Half of the Death Row inmates are gone. That is not what I thought was going to happen, but here we are. I thought this was overall an enjoyable episode that I thought at certain points, like the Osaragi fight, the animation was kicked up a little bit. I also just loved seeing how freaking awesome Osaragi is. Like, the order sentences you to die today violently. Like, oh, okay, don't let me cross Osaragi, man. One thing I forgot to mention in my last review of Sakomoto Days, I do think that this episode would be rated, probably by me, in my humble opinion, I'd rate this episode like an 8 out of 10. I really liked it. The last episode, I'd probably give like a 7 out of 10, just because it was fine. Another thing I forgot to mention is the opening of this anime is interesting. It is very, like, vibrant. The colors pop. It almost reminded me a little bit of one of those old JoJo Bizarre Adventures intros. It's just full of color. It's very vibrant. Every single color stands out. It seems bright and happy, even though this is an anime about assassins. And I do like with this anime so far, I love all the moving parts. I love that it's not as simple as Team Sakamoto versus Slur or versus the Order. We have Team Sakamoto, the Order, and then we have the Death Row inmates that were broken out by Slur. There's so many different things going on. It makes it a lot more fun to see what action is gonna influence the next. And so, man, I'm super excited for the next episode. This anime is so bingeable, man. It's so fun. But I'm almost at the end of my 10-minute goal, so that is my review/recap of Sakomoto Days, episode 13? Is that what episode we're on? Man, my memory sucks today. Hold on, guys. We're gonna go over 10 minutes this time. Episode 13, but that's all I got for you today. Thank you very much. Like, subscribe, and comment, guys.